So let's talk about this other structure. So the other thing that really caught my attention with you guys is that you do have two different structures they can do. So you have the typical franchisee structure. Somebody comes in, they buy the restaurant, they run it as the owner operator. But you do have another very interesting structure with restaurant Sherpas that I'd love everybody to know about. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Restaurant Sherpas is an affiliate of ours. So it's made up of ex/current Teriyaki Madness employees, if you will. And really, it's a full-on management company, is long and short of it. Full-on management company allows owners to be as involved in that business as they would like to be. So we have some people that say, hey, I don't want to even touch it, see it, smell it, never want to, walk foot except for grand opening. Turnkey solution, right, is probably the most accurate term there. We borrowed it from the hotel space because we kept getting approached with folks like, you're talking about in terms of internationals, international clients, people looking at visas, your landlords that have empty spaces that don't want to run a concept themselves, or just that corporate individual that says, hey, I know I can run this business, but there's a certain level of a safety net that I'm looking for where I would prefer to have, guaranteed income from my corporate job in the short term, and then eventually take over that business. So we built Restaurant Sherpas as the solution to that. And Restaurant Sherpas will do anything and everything as if it is a Teriyaki Madness corporate shop. So they do all hiring, they do all firing, retraining, they do food consistency marketing, they pay all bills, and then there is a tremendous amount of reporting back to the actual franchise owner. So they know, hey, what is the business doing? What are we working on? Where are we going this week, this month, this year? So there is weekly reporting, monthly reporting that rolls up. And the VP of Restaurant Sherpas, he comes from Chipotle. To give you an idea. So Chipotle runs a very similar model to a certain degree where they have managers in different places and then they have a territory manager. That's more or less a very similar kind of structure, I would say, to how Restaurant Sherpas truly works. Now, Sherpas, for some people, they will have Restaurant Sherpas run their business forever, for their entire life cycle with us, which is absolutely fine. Other people will say, hey, I want you guys to do the heavy lifting over the first year, maybe 2 years, whatever that is, and then I want to take over that business. That is also fine and encouraged as long as we know that's what you're looking to do. They operate on a yearly contract. So some people will use Restaurant Sherpas to do the build-out process and then do the grand opening. And by the time you get through those pieces, we might run the shop for about 6 months. So we do that initial kind of flood of, it's the most hectic time, any grand opening, right? So we'll kind of run all that piece and then they'll step in and take over. Other people just say, hey, I'll do the build out because I got a couple hours a week. And then you run it from here on out. So that is the true solution for those people that are more of that semi-absentee to full absentee type of owners, but also maybe those that, want a little bit more support beyond what's provided from Teriyaki Madness. If it's kind of a time restriction, because that first 6 months to the first year, I would say, is always the most critical in standing up any business, ours included.
Well, that's amazing. I love that option because I find so many clients that I work with, they have their corporate job that it's terrifying to leave, right? You're investing all this money into a business that a lot of times they don't want to leave it until they get that money back or they have their savings built up again or whatnot. So it's great for them to be able to invest in a business, have it run, and then once it generates the income that they're looking for, then they can maybe make that leap, or they take that income, they invest in another one. So I absolutely love that structure, and I think that's something that's very, very helpful to a lot of different individuals. So that's absolutely fantastic. The other thing that I want to touch on before I let you go here is that so many people think that, everybody's struggling during this COVID time, especially restaurants, and they are. There are so many that are struggling, but not you guys. You guys have actually done fantastic. So please share a little bit about how you've done so well during such a hard time.
Yeah, and this is always a little weird to talk about, right? I mean, as individuals, COVID is anything but good, right? I mean, I'm out there with the rest of us, right? Don't be careful, wear your mask, or wash your hands, right? So it's a little weird from that standpoint, just because from a Teriyaki Madness level, we haven't been busier. So from people being interested in the franchise, but also just the shop performance. So, I mean, we sit in that fast casual space. On average, fast casual is up about 2 points year over year from a same store sales standpoint, which is much better than your full sit downs, right? That is not something you probably want to be in right now. But we are actually up 16 points year over year from a same store sales standpoint. And I would say it's due to a couple of key reasons. One is that customers were already interacting with us in basically this COVID type manner, where only 30% were typically sitting down and consuming the product inside the four walls. So they were already used to kind of this grab and go, or, you know, taking it and running, whatever that might be, delivery, right? Those kinds of pieces. So it was a smaller hurdle for us to kind of get over, if you will, than a Red Lobster, right? I'm not getting a lobster and a steak in a styrofoam box, paying $100 and sitting on my couch, right? Part of the restaurant experience is that sit down piece when you go to full sit downs, right? Is let's see that ambiance. So I'd say partly is that. Secondly, we had the technology in place way before we needed to, right? So from an online ordering app, the same people that built Smashburger and Qdoba's app built ours as well. So it's quite robust, has a loyalty component on it, so franchise owners can tap into their customer database. It's one way we've been able to push certain promotions in this COVID-based environment out to customers so they understand, hey, what's the value the Teriyaki Madness is providing today? Where we did like teriyaki bars for healthcare workers, for example. That jumped our sales back to right sizing that week 2 mark from a COVID standpoint. Now, we've also been a little bit nimble in the sense that we have your curbside delivery now in place. We have kind of your cone-based drive-throughs for locations that are more of those inline centers that couldn't have traditional pickup windows. And then locations that did have pickup windows or access to those based on second-generation real estate that we were able to build out for a fraction of fresh builds, we've set up a true kind of drive-through. So people can interact with us like a traditional drive-through. Ticket times are a little bit longer than usual, but it has reinforced those sales once again in terms of why I think we're doing so well. And then lastly, I think it's just the category of food that we sit in, right? So I don't care if you're looking at burgers and fries or sandwiches. The sogginess factor is a real thing, right? In burgers and fries and sandwiches. It's like, oh, if you drive that sandwich for 30 minutes and you drop it off at my front door, we all are not going to be happy, right? Versus Asian food, I mean, wok boxes up there, your Edo Japans I know are up there, Panda Expresses down here. You know, it doesn't matter who you are, mom and pop Asian, right? It just holds really, really well. Yeah. So when you stack all those together, I think that's what's really kind of pushed us into that thriving standpoint. And it echoes what we saw back in 2008, 2009. So 2008, 2009, a little smaller of a footprint to put it lightly, but we had huge double-digit same-store sales growth numbers because people swivel away from that sit down and they go back towards your QSRs or fast casuals. And then we lose a few customers out the back end. Don't get me wrong. That'll just go down to your fast foods. But historically, the net gain is very much there. And the best part about all of this is you do not have to take my word for it, right? So as people engage with you, right, if they have interest in Teriyaki Madness, our validation will speak for itself, right? You don't have to, trust but verify, right? Just as if you're managing a manager, right? Semi-absentee. I'm going to trust the manager's doing their job, but I'm going to verify that piece. And that's what we expect through our education and qualification process that people will end up going through.
Yeah, and I love how transparent you guys are. You guys are so transparent. I've never seen a company be so transparent with their numbers, with the validation, all that type of stuff. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us today. I am very happy to have you here, and I can't wait to get you in Canada. So again, thank you so much. And for you at home, if you're interested in finding out more, please reach out, and I'd be very happy to connect you to Tyler. Thanks so much, Tyler.
Thank you. Highly appreciate it.